We're going to look at a short piece from Rav Asher Weiss in Sefer Minchas Asher that he has on Pesach. So a short piece over here on one of the concepts that we have. Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Tzeicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim. We know in the Aseret Hadibros, the first of the 10 Commandments is the command that I am Hashem your God who took you out of Mitzrayim. So a famous question that the Rishonim asked on this is, why do we say that I'm Hashem your God that took you out of Mitzrayim? Why do you say I'm Hashem your God that gave you life? I'm Hashem who created the universe. Why does it have to be that took you out of Mitzrayim? So the basic answer the Rishonim give is that the reason why it says I'm Hashem your God that took you out of Mitzrayim, because this is the most relatable concept that you have. To the Jews in Egypt, or the Jews at Sinai, the most relatable concept they have to Hashem is that I'm the one who took you out. It's me and you over here. It's not just something that happened 1,000 years ago, creating the world, or creating whatever it is, but rather the fact is it's not about the creation of Shemayim v'Aretz, it's about the relationship that I have with you. That's a classic understanding of what the Rishonim explain as why that the first mitzvah that we have of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, the mitzvah of faith, or Emunah, itself is based on this term, the fact that I took you out of Mitzrayim. Says Rav Asher Weiss over here, why is it that if this is Emunah, and that's for all generations, so then why is the mitzvah of Emunah dependent on leaving Mitzrayim for us? If you have faith in Hashem, why do you have to say that the faith that I have in Hashem is I am Hashem your God that took you out of Egypt? Why in the Torah say that I created you? All these things. So it must be that leaving Egypt, Yetzias Mitzrayim, must be connected or intertwined with the essence of what Emunah actually is, the essence of what faith is. So he says, we've explained that there are two different ideas or two different concepts that come from Yetzias Mitzrayim. There's the idea of remembering it, and there's the idea of telling it over. These are two concepts. Halal v'hodaya mechad. One is praising Hashem and recognizing that Hashem did it. Great gratitude to Hashem. And the second thing is all Kabbalas all Malchut Shemayim. So the fact is, two things took place when we left Egypt. One is this ability to be thankful for being saved, but the second thing is more fundamental for future generations, and that is the essence of accepting upon yourself the yoke of heaven. Kabbalas al Malchut Shemayim is the idea when we say a yoke, we refer to a yoke on an animal, not a yoke of an egg, not a yoke with a J, but rather a yoke is that which you put on an animal that enables the animal to go forward. When a person has Kabbalat al Malchut Shemayim, means they accept upon themselves the yoke of heaven, Y-O-K-E, the yoke of heaven, which means that you accept upon yourself whatever God demands of you, you accept upon this yourself. Whatever life circumstance you have, this is God placing it upon you. Whatever mitzvahs He demands of you, this is something you do. Kabbalas al Malchut Shemayim is I'm willing to accept this upon myself. I'm willing to be ordered or directed in a certain way in order to do the will of Hashem. That's the concept of Kabbalas al Malchut Shemayim. So again, when we leave Mitzrayim, there's two aspects. One is the praise. Second thing is to be able to accept upon myself this yoke of heaven. But the truth is, these two ideas don't really explain the essence of what the verse says. I am Hashem your God who took you out of Mitzrayim. Okay? So he says the following. Let's understand what the famous lines of the Ramban, Nachmanides, who tells us, Tama mitzvah zos. What mitzvah? The mitzvah of Korban Pesach. The fact that the Jewish people on the 14th went and slaughtered a sheep, and the night of the 15th they went and ate this sheep, and this was the Korban Pesach, blood on the doorposts, is what they were saved. What's the reason for this mitzvah, says the Ramban? The reason why is because the mazal, the constellation of Tele, which is referring to that of the sheep, which I think that is what in English? What do you call that? Anybody know?
Baby sheep.
Huh? Baby sheep. Anyone know their horoscopes? Aries? Aries? Is that what it is? Aries is a sheep? Anyone have a newspaper? Okay. So, Kimazal Tele, so, what?
Oven. Horoscope is oven.
Oven? What does that mean? Okay, fine. So either way, whatever that was in English as that of sheep, so that's in the month of Nisan. This we know that it's in the month of Nisan. Bekocha Agadol. And in the month of Nisan, it means this has the greatest power, says the Ramban. So therefore, we were commanded, you know what I want you to do? Shecht it, slaughter it, show it that it doesn't have any power. To show that the reason why we left Egypt was not because of the constellations, not because of the horoscopes, or rather because Hashem says, I'm in charge over here. So take the sheep, put it to pieces, and that's it. And therefore, the Medrash tells us, that's why the Egyptians also worshipped it. Kol sheken leodia, b'mitzvah zo shehishbi aleim Eloheim v'kochem b'yosem malach elyon shelo. The purpose of this is to show that the Egyptians have no power whatsoever, and we are able to be above this entire experience. So the Medrash says, therefore he says, take for yourself a sheep and slaughter the gods of Egypt. So the first stage we have over here is that our experience of this whole idea of taking the sheep of Korban Pesach is to show that there is no other power, there's no other God that exists. This is the concept that's Kabbalah's Almachut Shemayim, to accept upon yourself the yoke of heaven. So therefore, says Rav Asher Weiss, one of the things this mitzvah tells us is to show there's no mazel to Yisrael. We're not bound by horoscopes. As we spoke about on the Shabbos HaGadol, that the entire aspect of this is Hashgacha Pratis. Hashem is in charge of everything from beginning to end, and there's nothing but Hashem. Not only did we were commanded to shech this sheep, which is the mazel of Nisan, to show that we're not under the mazel at all, but rather that we're under the guide and leadership of Hashem. B'yado hagdol v'zorah hanuti with outstretched arm. So two things again. One is to show that Hashem is in charge of us. Second thing, there's nothing, no other power that can do anything to us except Hashem. Over tefillah, so therefore let me just go on to this point that he wants to make. Ikar gadol sheyisodo b'yitzias Mitzrayim. A major concept they have in Mitzrayim is the fact that the Jewish people were chosen to be the children of Hashem, the Am Segula. And therefore the pasuk that says, "Oh, and Yisrael kim lavo lekachzo goy mikerev goy," did Hashem? Was there any other nation that Hashem took out from another nation to put you under His wings? No, it's only Hashem. So therefore, He tells us, "B'yitzias Mitzrayim lekachol goy mikerev goy." What happened in Yitzias Mitzrayim when we left? Hashem took one nation from another and took us under His wings. And therefore, this is what we know in the tefillah that we say in Musaf and on Yom Tov. Ata bachartanu mikol hamim. This is a key point for us. You have chosen us from all other nations. Ahavta osanu, you loved us. V'ratzisa banu, and you desired us. Mikol halashonos, from all the languages. V'kidashtanu b'mitzvosecha, and you have sanctified us with your mitzvos. So you've read this many, many times in your prayers, but you probably don't know this. Again, you've said it. Hashem, you chose us from other nations. You loved us and desired us from other languages. What is that? So it's known, the Vilna Gaon says on this idea, Ata bachartanu mikol ha'amim is referring to Pesach. Ahavta otanu, Shavuot, we receive the Torah. V'ratzisa banu is the holiday of Sukkot. Therefore, you see actually in your tefillah of Shalosh Regalim, it's repeated by every tefillah to remind us that it's one unit. The three holidays that we have of Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, Bechiras Klal Yisrael Goy Mikerev Goy B'Yitzias Mitzrayim Haisa. So therefore, what we have over here is an important point. One important point that we have is that what is Pesach about? What is the first mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha that we received at Har Sinai? That first mitzvah that we have is to accept upon ourselves the yoke of heaven. Emunah she'Hashem hu Elokim. There's two parts. One is that there's the faith that I have, the belief that Hashem is God, and there's nothing but God. But most important thing, and that is Emunah, that Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem is our God. It's one thing to understand that God is the quote-unquote CEO of everything. It's another thing to recognize that Hashem is in charge of your life. And you have a deep relationship with Him. That is Kabbalah's Almachut Shemayim. So what did we gain at leaving Mitzrayim? It wasn't just simply that we are freed. It wasn't just simply that we recognize God and control the world. But rather, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. He's my God, and I have this deep relationship with Him. And ultimately, that's what we say in our Musaf Tefillah and Chol Hamoed, and all of our Tefillahs on Yom Tov. Hashem, you chose us. Hashem, you loved us, and you desired us. Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot.